Welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV. Of course, Jennifer here to start off your Friday morning TGIF with Jackson's newly appointed police chief, Brett Hinsch. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure. We're so happy to have you here.
This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So
I know, it's going to be so fun. We're going to have a good time today.
All right. So
we will have fun. No, congratulations. That's amazing.
I appreciate that. It's been a career goal of mine for a long time. And I'm kind of excited for, maybe hopefully for about a decade or so, getting to implement some, new procedures and things that I think may be effective for the community.
Heck yeah.
So.
And you have been around a few years. So we always just say a few years around here. It makes us not feel so old. But so how long have you, let's back up a little bit and tell everyone, how did your career in law enforcement get started? Is this something that you've always wanted to do?
Always since after I graduated high school, I kind of floated around college not knowing what I was really going to do. Sure. And this had always been something I had been interested in. I actually met a friend who was pursuing that career. I listened to him and I said, I might try that angle too.
Yeah.
And so once I made the decision to do that, I completed that. I went through and graduated from Hocking College back in 2002.
Okay.
With a degree in police science.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few. But I graduated from there from both peace officer basic and with an associate's degree.
Okay.
And I started looking for a place to gain a commission, and my family had moved here in the meantime while I was in college. So I kind of headed back to the nest and thought, this is where I'll start looking for jobs. And I actually started my very first professional job was under Stephen Michael, the former juvenile judge, as I started working community service for them. And they seemed to think that I did a good enough job helping kids through the summer get community service projects done that they hired me on as a juvenile probation officer.
Okay.
And so while I did that, I had a commission as an auxiliary officer, a volunteer officer with the Jackson Police Department.
Wait, that's a thing?
It actually is. And
you
in
volunteer to be a police officer?
Way back when,
what?
People volunteered a lot to do that job. It's really funny how much 2 decades have changed law enforcement and its hiring practices and how many people really want to do that. But I started as an auxiliary officer, volunteering my time, working a shift here, shift there.
Okay.
You get out of the academy, you get out of college, and you think you're going to save the world. You really do.
And God bless college. God bless them for thinking that.
And then
because they're not jaded.
You get there, you get suited up, and you look around and go, I know absolutely nothing about what I'm supposed to do. And, that's one thing I don't know the public really knows. They get so critical, nationally as you look, they get so critical of officers. It's like any other career field. You don't know anything when you start, but you think you do.
Yeah. You hope you do.
I actually attached myself very quickly to a patrolman at the time, Rob Masters, of the Jackson Police Department, and we hit it off pretty well. And thankfully, Rob kind of just took me under his wing and showed me all the ins and outs. Like I can remember one of my very first days, he said, go have the dispatcher type up an affidavit for whoever it was. And I'm like, sure, no problem. What's an affidavit? As soon as I know what that is, I'll be able to help do this. And so over the years, I really became a student of police work. It interested me. It wasn't just a job, it was a career. And I kept reading things and asking questions. And I think that's how we all get better at what we're supposed to do. And so I moved up. I eventually, after about a year and a half of being a probation officer, a full-time dispatch slot opened up at Jackson PD.
Okay.
And so wasn't really what I thought I'd do, but it was a good end to the department.
It's a foot in the door, yeah.
And so honestly, looking back, It was almost like an internship because now I'm in the doors. I'm listening to the phone calls. I'm listening to the complaints. I'm having to read the reports. I'm having to go through the ordinance book and the Ohio Revised Code.
Right.
Because part of a dispatcher's job at Jackson PD is to type charges when an officer has a case. And so you really learn the elements of charges. And so it was a wonderful internship to learn all the processes.
Yeah.
So that when it came time a few years later that a road slot opened up and I took that, I was able, they basically, here's a set of keys, go do it. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to tell on myself here. So,
well, we love this.
At
We're
the
getting
time,
the dirt today.
At the time in 2006, one of the main complaints was, all this speeding on South Street. And And so I thought, I'm new, I'm saving the world. I'm going to go write some speeding tickets on South Street and get notice that we're doing something positive here. So I can remember getting my perfect position on South Street to run this radar, and first car comes down, and it's one of the first cars that was speeding. I'm thinking, I'm going to go after that. And then I realized I'd put myself in a position that I really couldn't turn around easily with the daytime traffic. So I turn my lights on, and I finally make a turn, but by then I can't even see the car. I don't know where it went. And so I'm going down the street, and I'm looking for it, but everybody's getting over for me. And I ended up making a left turn and going down by the middle school. I completely lost the vehicle. So the very first, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. And I laugh about it now because that's so easy. But there's this development that happens with officers over time. You think you're going to save the world by writing tickets. And then after a while of that and you get comfortable with that, it's I'm gonna get really good at investigations and interview and interrogation, which I still love I love doing interviews on criminal cases, to this day. And so you get successful at that, and then after that it was really learning the processes of the administrative functions. And so I've kind of been a student of that for a long time.
Sure.
By the two administrations that I worked for before under Chief Carl Eisnagel and then Chief Alan Potter. And the former chief, kind of as we had dwindled down in numbers, there were a lot of duties and responsibilities kind of split up. And so he gave me an opportunity to be involved with a lot of the departmental planning and some of getting some ideas on budgeting and things like that. So I've been a student for 20 years of the Jackson Police Department. And so now's kind of a time to get to implement some things that I think may be really good and beneficial for us. So,
well, very good. And again, congratulations. And you have worked so hard and have done such an amazing job for all these years. And we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that.
A lot of folks, may not appreciate the police department, but you guys have always been around, I've had to call you a couple of times,
yes.
And you guys have done nothing but. I mean, there's been some funny calls too.
Yes, there have been some funny calls over the years.
We got to talk on Thanksgiving morning, if you remember.
I do
about something.
That was a person who had gone back to cut some old copper from back behind your then restaurant. And we get to watch the surveillance video, and I hate to tell this story, but the poor guy used his cutters to cut into what he thought was a dead line, and it wasn't. It was actually a very powerful line, and there's this bright flash. It looked like a lightning bolt had come down, thrown him back against the building. And
I'm sorry, and I had to send him the video, and I'm like,
and he scurries out shortly after without gaining anything other than probably a shock of his life.
Like, it was like 15 minutes that it knocked him out.
But what Jackson PD does, we look at that. It was comical. It was one of those, dumb criminal moments that
like
gets documented.
Should be on TV, yeah.
But what I delivered him to you a couple days later and said, here's who it was, and we did a appropriate charge, and I won't, disclose the name or anything.
Right, and it's totally, and it was just like one of those where you guys got the video, and then you never stopped. I didn't bug you about it because I figured you were doing whatever, and you never stopped working it, even though we hadn't heard anything for a few days. But it was like, oh, yep, we saw the coat, and then we saw the coat walking down the street, and we put 2 and 2 together. And
well, we do a lot of information sharing. It's when a case comes into Jackson PD, it's not just one officer's case. We may have one officer that kind of facilitates the case, but everybody kind of knows about it.
Sure.
And there are sometimes in cases they're just cut and dry, and we know what we need to do. And there's times that there's missing pieces of information, and we have those clues and indicators, as you can imagine. And so everybody gets to know about that, and you never know who's going to get it. One of the things, Jackson PD is full of a very competent and very dedicated staff to helping this community, and the major portion of our involvement in the community is preventing crime, investigating crimes that have happened, keeping people safe, keeping property safe, not necessarily all in that order. But we have a really good solve rate for major. I mean, if you look at national averages, from car thefts to burglaries to B&Es, our solve rates are significantly higher than the national average, and that's because it helps that it's a small enough community. You kind of know a lot of people, and and you've got a lot of contacts out there that may call you and say, hey, I saw this on TV, or I saw this in the paper, and it could be this, and it gives you that avenue to pursue. But I've got a really dedicated staff that they know what they're doing, and my management style is to put people in those positions, give them a lot of free rein to go do what they need to do. And my job now, and that's been kind of a tough personal transition for me, is I don't get to go out and do as much of that hands-on stuff. My job is to make sure that there's the resources and available.
That would be tough.
It is. And every once in a while, I'll get tired of sitting behind a desk and looking at budgets and paperwork and signing, purchase orders. And I'll say, I'm going to go out for a little bit, and I'll go out and, maybe work some traffic. Yesterday, I actually was on the roadside changing somebody's tire. So,
we will let you introduce yourself and your friend.
So my name's Patrolman Justin Sizemore. I'm with the Jackson Police Department. I have K-9 Arka here. I think we've been.
She's showing you her best. Oh no, there she looked at the camera.
Her best side.
She's fine.
She
Arka brought her ball, so we're good.
Yeah, she has a little bit of ADHD, so undiagnosed.
Undiagnosed by you. Oh, there she is. Hi, sweetie. She's doing very well here. She's very young.
Yeah, very young. She actually turned 3, which is still young. She turned 3 in July, so
very, very young. And this girl, there she is.
Yeah. So one of my coworkers, Chuck Bach, are you familiar with him? He actually bought her that little bone he found. I think one of the stores were making it, so he bought her that.
Aw, I bet she gets all kind of good treats.
Everyone tries to give her treats, but her bowel system can't handle it.
Yeah, I know. There's that little belly issue that we have going on there. Yeah, I know. Same. So this is so fun to have you here today, and we appreciate you taking time. You were actually supposed to be here yesterday, but there was a little incident of which we will get to in a minute. Because we have video. Very rarely do we ever get to see this is like real TV. It's like Cops, man.
It's a Jackson County version of Cops.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have to say that you are probably, I don't know if you surprised yourself, but you are very athletic.
I don't know about that. Surprisingly, I've gained a lot of weight since high school. So,
oh, my God, would you weigh 50 pounds in high school?
I think about 60. No,
well, very good. So let's start off with you telling everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we kind of want to get into, what it's like to be the handler of a police dog and all of that. So, let's learn about you first.
All right. Well, according to my chief, that's the best thing I like to talk about is myself. So we'll go into that.
He did not tell me that. So.
Oh, he tells me that every day. So a little bit about myself. Grew up, born and raised in Gay County.
Okay.
So I've always had an interest in law enforcement, or at least the first responder aspect. I've always love the idea of being a cop, the big bad cops. I always wanted to be one of those. So fast forward, I end up, Gallipolis Police Department had it's called an Explorer program. So it's through the Boy Scouts of America. Basically, whenever you get to high school, 9th grade, you can enter it, and you have to keep a certain grade point average, and you can do ride-alongs. Basically, it's a ride-along program.
Oh, cool.
So I got connected with that through the Gallipolis Police Department. Fell in love with that. I would probably spend more time there than I did in sports. So fast forward to after high school, graduated from Buckeye Hills Police Academy. As soon as I got out, I went to Meigs County because I wasn't the age of 21 yet. So a lot of agencies, especially cities, you have to be 21 years old to. So
That's
I was
kind
just
of a
catch-22,
isn't it? Like you graduate from all this, but you can't work yet.
So
just a little baby.
I was just a little baby, so I had to find a little baby department. But I tell you what, I learned a lot of good things from Meigs County. So ultimate goal was the Aggie County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
At the time, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to go there. So I was blessed with an opportunity to go there. Learned a lot, and then I met my wife, Jordan, and we migrated up here to Jackson. Well, she's already from here, so
okay.
So it was an easy transition for the most part here. So Chief Hinsch, through some connections there, reached out to me, was very interested in me, thankfully.
Good.
And so he offered me the job, and it was too hard to pass up. So that's kind of where he was. He sent me through dog school, through Pine Grove Kennels. It's in Meigs County.
Okay.
And
so back to Meigs County you went, huh?
Back to Meigs County. Essentially, that's where I went. So we done that, and we've been out for a few months now. I would say we've been pretty successful thus far. So,
well, very good. Well, welcome. We're so
you.
happy to have you here. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure that any place that you work, you learn different things. So what would be like some of the differences between working in a sheriff's department versus maybe like a city police department?
The advantages is working at a police department is you get off on time for the most part.
The less area to cover.
Yeah, so it would be nothing for me to get sent to a call a half hour before my shift ends, and depending what happens that call, if you arrest someone, you may be looking at an hour, 2 hours before you even get home. I do like it's more family oriented at a police department because everyone's so involved.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about your incident and the reason that you couldn't come here yesterday. Which he was so worried about. I'm like, dude, you were
yeah,
it's fine.
I don't like to disappoint, so
you got yourself into a predicament.
Yeah, I had to do some paperwork yesterday, and I'll briefly explain that if you'd like me to.
I love for you to. Yeah, absolutely.
So I was behind a vehicle through a drug investigation. We stopped the vehicle. Criminal indicators were seen there, and I ran the dog. So she indicated on the vehicle.
So she's out and about.
Yeah, so she's out and about. They know that she's there.
Okay.
I told them that she's there. So she indicates on the vehicle, put her up. I get one of the guys out that has a warrant, and another guy hops that third row seating into the middle seat section and gets out. And he just had this look on his eyes like, I'm about to run or I'm about to do something crazy.
You know that look, right?
So, so something's about to happen. And luckily, so we had another officer there as well, and several in the area. And he started taking off running, and I knew that at that point, we did have another officer there to take custody of the guy that I was with right there, but I was also closest to the guy that was running. So I took off after him, gave him several opportunities to stop. He didn't stop, so
you definitely gave him the opportunity to stop.
So
if you don't stop, I'm going to stop you, which is what ended up happening.
So we ended up stopping together, and
that's a good way to put it.
We were able to take him into custody, and he's currently in the Jackson County Correctional Facility. So
okay, and this is all because
and there might be a video about that.
Okay, all right, check this out. Wham! And the good news is you have people like wham! So good.
Yeah. So
Did you know you had that in you?
So adrenaline does a lot. It's a lot more than what you would anticipate. So
does it scare you to put on that uniform every day and go out? I mean, do you think about it?
I used to don't really think about it. It's just kind of second nature at this point. I like to have fun, and the best thing about law enforcement is it's normally something new every day.
Well, you would never get bored, I would say.
Yeah, so you never come to work and you're like, I know for a fact what I'm going to do today, because you don't. I mean, you could have,
and it could be minute to minute.
You could have, some domestic violence calls, theft calls. You could have traffic stops. I mean, anything could lead to anything. And I guess, you kind of got to keep being on edge because you just never know what could possibly happen.
Sure. You could never get complacent.
Yeah, I mean, the moment you get complacent is the moment when someone on a traffic stop gets out of the traffic stops, puts a gun at you. What do you do? Well, you never had that happen before because you have to be prepared for stuff like that. And I think that's a big thing that Chief Hinsch is trying to do with our department is to make us better equipped and preparing for the worst case scenario.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Jackson Post of the Ohio State Highway Patrol. And we are here this afternoon, actually. This is Friday afternoon, with our friend Lieutenant Morgan, and we are at the open house. How's it going?
Oh, it's so much fun. We've had more visitors than we expected. We didn't really know what to expect, but we've got a couple recruits in there. Our SWAT team showed up. The motorcycle's here. There's a lot of people here.
We are so excited because you promised me that I get to honk a horn or turn on a light or something.
We'll start it up as soon as we get done with this.
All right, and the motorcycle unit just pulled in?
The motorcycle's here. This is the demo car behind me. We're testing new light bars, so you'll get to be one of the first civilians to test out this new light bar.
That's so exciting. And what makes it special?
So there are different LED lights, the smaller profile, lower profile, and the different LED
Which means they can be sneakier, right?
That's right. You'll see us later. But the LED lights are just going to be more visible at night and during the day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot better. And there's different packages for when we get out of the car. The light's not blinding us when we get out of the car. Just a lot of new features that we're just learning. We keep learning with this technology.
Well, awesome. That sounds amazing. Well, I can't wait to play with all the toys and there's the SWAT vehicle over here. It looks really mean and nasty.
There's only one seat on the motorcycle. So you can't get a motorcycle ride.
Drat. That's probably okay. I'd be the first person to crash a highway patrolman. But no, this is so exciting. So thank you for taking time once again to talk with us. And so we are going to begin our tour. And thanks again for having this open house. And we can't wait.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we have moved over to one of James and I, the thing that we were kind of interested in, and that is the motorcycle. And I'm here with Sergeant Deal. So thank you for talking with us this afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. And you drove down here all the way, though, from Franklin County. Am I correct?
Columbus, yes.
From Columbus. So, all right. So we do, you just don't see down in our parts, down here in Appalachia, a lot of highway patrol motorcycles. So can we talk about that for a moment and what makes a motorcycle, what's advantageous about it for the State Highway Patrol?
Okay. Well, right now we have 2 units. We have 8 in Columbus and 8 units in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And it was designed for the urban city areas during rush hour and high impact traffic enforcement. And during rush hour and things, it's hard for cars to get around, so it just makes more sense to have motorcycles to get through traffic and for crashes and anything else that we need to do.
That makes sense because, you can get bottlenecked pretty quick up on those major highways, and the motorcycles can get through a lot faster. So I totally get that. So what can the motorcycle do everything that the patrol car can do?
We can pretty much do everything that a patrol car can. Obviously, we don't have the transport capabilities, but...
Well, why not? Just strap him in the back. It's fine.
Right. But we run radar, and we have laser in the side bag, so we can investigate crashes just like the car units can. But obviously, there's more equipment in the cars and stuff, so we're limited on what we can do.
Well, very good. And so we were talking off the camera about training and all of that. So how long has the Ohio State Highway Patrol had motorcycle divisions?
We brought the motorcycle unit back in 2006.
Okay.
And like I said, it was for Cincinnati and Columbus areas. So there's 8 in Columbus, 8 in Cincinnati.
Okay, and what did you have to do to train that you would have had to have done differently, versus the car?
Back in 2006, we went to Canada to train with the Ontario Police.
That's cool.
For 2 weeks. And then every year, we have a 40-hour research week through Harley-Davidson Northwestern's training.
Okay, now are all the motorcycles Harleys?
Yes, they are right now, but we will be getting BMWs in a few months.
Ooh, okay. Well, in a few months, I'm going to have to interview you again, find out which one you like better.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. And, this is amazing, and it's just such a great opportunity. And thank you for letting us check out your motorcycle, because it's just not something that we get to see down here every day.
Ma'am, thank you.
All right. And you be safe out on the road, okay?
You as well.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see what else we can get into. All right, well, we have moved from motorcycles to, of course, my favorite. Well, I would like to say you're my favorite person, but my favorite here is Mr. Mickey, and he is down there. But I am here with Matt Atwood, and you are Mickey's handler.
Correct, yes.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us, and it's so great to get to see Mickey today. And he is not mean by any chance. He's not like Hannibal Lecter or anything. That's just his uniform.
Correct. That's just our policy. We just we put the muzzle on him just to make sure that you never know when somebody's going to yank on their tail or tug on an ear. He's not aggressive, but of course he would be defensive if somebody was to hurt him or hurt me. So just to make sure that he doesn't do that, we just keep the muzzle on him.
Well, very good. Now, you and I were talking off the air, and I asked you, because your uniform's a little bit different, and of course you have the dog, so I was asking you, are you a patrolman or a trooper? Like, what is your title?
So I'm a K-9 handler within our criminal interdiction unit, our criminal patrol unit. I am still a trooper. I do look a lot different. A lot of people don't think I'm a trooper when they see me, but I am. We wear the different uniform just because we tend to get very dirty with the dog. A lot of hair, a lot of dirt. We do a lot of tracking, narcotics work, evidence searches, and what we call criminal apprehension, which is where we are able to use the dog to engage suspects under certain conditions.
Okay, so do you work out of this Jackson Patrol Post or out of somewhere else?
I work out of the Jackson District Office, so our district office is conjoined with the Jackson Post, but I'm actually over 10 different counties in southern Ohio.
So you could get called to any of those counties then, you and Mickey?
I could, yes.
Okay, so let's talk for a minute, and I don't want to, go into some, 20-hour long thing, because I could talk to you that long about a dog. But let me ask you about what is different with your training, and how does Mickey come to be? Did you choose to be a dog handler, or how did that work?
I did. So it started with an application process. I worked as a trooper for 3 years at a post at our Gallipolis post. After that, there was an opening out of our Jackson district for a K-9 handler position, so I applied for that. I was given the position, and then we went through together a 10-week dog school. So he originally came from Germany, and then we bought him through a vendor here in Ohio, and then we together, at that time, he had no training at all.
Oh.
He knew absolutely nothing as well as I did about him. So we learn together over a 10-week process, train together, and then at the end of that 10 weeks, we both certified in all of our certifications.
So tell me, what are some of the things that Mickey does? Like, what does his day look like?
So his day is he rides with me. We typically work on the major highway routes that are used for drug traffickers through Ohio. We'll sit on that and we try to interdict any criminals that we do see come across. So his primary use is narcotics, narcotic sniffs of vehicles, narcotics detection. Outside of that, we do a lot of tracking. So if we have a suspect or even somebody that is missing or has left someplace where they should be, he can be used to track. He can also be used to find articles, which is like say somebody throws a gun after a horrific crime and nobody can find the gun. He can be actually used to search an area and locate any item on the side of the road or a field or anywhere at all. So
that is so cool. He must have a good nose.
Oh, a great nose. Yeah, excellent.
You can't get away with anything, can you?
No, you can't get anything past him.
That's so awesome. And so, Mickey, like, what's like the craziest thing he's ever gotten into, or that you've gotten him into, or we've gotten him into?
You know what? It seems like it's more what he gets me into. It seems like I can't tell you how many times we've been through the mud or through. I can't tell you how many spider webs I've had in my face. And he's actually a few times he's so excited to work, he ends up rolling me down the hill and everything. It's a fun day. It's a fun day. That's why we get these nice uniforms to get dirty versus our pretty uniforms there. But he gets me into the trouble is what it ends up being.
He's telling tales on you. I think you're a precious angel. So what made Mickey a candidate to be a police dog?
They go through a long selection process. What happens is in Germany, they're picked out of these groups of dogs that are bred through historical lines of the work that they go through.
Okay.
And then they're picked over there, and then they're sent here to vendors in the United States, and then we actually will go to those vendors and put them through a selection process, which is it's just pretty much testing their natural instincts and what drives them and motivates them. Because we all know, like I've got a house dog that doesn't want to do anything. It wants to lay on the couch and eat its few meals and get pet and its belly rubbed. And there's dogs like him that their whole motivation is to work. And it's just to pretty much find out, does that dog like to work or does that dog like to lay around? And he is a worker.
Well, I don't have one of those at my house. I have the lay around kind.
Yeah, I've got one of those myself.
So how does he differentiate between when he can be a dog, Mickey, and when he's at work, Mickey?
It pretty much just comes, he realizes, we've been together for about 5 years now.
Okay.
And so he knows just as well as anybody else, when I start getting dressed, when I start getting my uniform on, when I start putting his gear on him, he knows he's going into work mode, and then he keeps that level-headed work drive, and then as soon as we get home and it all comes off, he just becomes a normal dog for the rest of the day until it's time to go back to work.
That just blows my mind that they know that.
It's pretty amazing. It is amazing to see.
Well, he is beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing him with us and telling his story and your story, because I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's go out and see what else we can find. Thank you, Mickey. All right, so we've gone from the dog, which we loved, but this is really cool as well. We are in an actual SWAT vehicle, and I've never, thank God, I guess, been in the back of one of these things before. But no, I am here with Trooper Danny, and you are part of you told me SRT team, right?
Yes, it's a special response team.
That's right, and that's with the Highway Patrol, though?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to call it SWAT because that's what people know. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. And Trooper Danny is super excited to talk with us today, and he's going to tell us about this vehicle because we're in the back, but we're sitting on benches in the back of this big vehicle. It looks like something like the Rock would drive, right?
Yeah.
Or James, you're aging yourself. You said the A-team. I think that's not as new as the Rock. But no, so Danny, tell us a little bit about what makes this vehicle special.
All right, so this is we call it our Bear. It's an up-armored vehicle. So, it's special because it keeps the team safe.
And it has armor around it.
It's up-armored, so you can't shoot through it. You can shoot out of it, but you can't shoot. If someone's shooting from the outside, it's not going to hurt anyone from the inside.
Okay.
It's also just big, so it's a show of force. So naturally, if you see a police cruiser, you might think, okay. But if you see a big vehicle, like, okay, they're pretty serious.
Yes.
So that's why it's special.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, if I saw this thing coming at me, I would just lay down and die. So that's okay. But no, so there's like, so people can't shoot into this vehicle, which is really, really cool. So you guys are protected. And there's room for how many people back here?
You fit as many as you can fit. 8, 10 guys comfortably. There's 2 bench seats. Of course, you have a driver. But, yeah, you can fit a bunch of guys back here.
Do you draw straws as to who gets to drive?
No straws.
Drat. Okay. So now I see, like, is this where you could shoot out of, like this whole thing?
So these are.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, these are windows, and you just would, pop them out like you would pop them out like that. And
That is so cool.
You can get a gun out, or get air.
Air's good. Yeah. Air's real good.
So,
A little water back here.
So, yeah, and there's several on the walls there. They just pop out like that.
So how did you get involved in this? I mean, you started out actually at the Jackson Post, right?
Correct, I did.
So how did you get involved in the SRT team?
So our team, whenever the state approves it, we have a tryout. So whenever the team would lose a couple guys to retirement or promotion, we would have a selection process with a tryout, and I just tried out and got on the team.
So what made you want to be different, do something different like this?
Who wouldn't want to do this job?
I like his answer.
Lieutenant Morgan actually pulled me aside one day and mentioned it. He mentioned it, so I can give him a little bit of credit. I had thought about it, and then, that's it.
I love that. So now are you based out of Columbus?
Yeah, so our main office is in Columbus, but we have guys all over the state, so we can respond anywhere. But this vehicle specifically stays in Columbus.
Okay, so I just have like another question. So when would you guys get called out? I mean, obviously there's all kind of situations that happen, but I feel like you kind of are like not the last resort, but it would have to escalate into something before you guys get called out.
Sure. So our team, as far as call-outs go, you name it, a manhunt, a barricade, an arrest warrant that's a high profile, or even search warrants, but after hours, anything active. So, someone fleeing with a gun or a barricade, just anything like that would be an actual call out. We don't just do call outs. We're actually a full-time SWAT team. So in the meantime, we're serving arrest warrants, training. We do all kinds of things. So we assist with security at the governor's, at the state house, just anything and everything.
That sounds, no wonder you really like your job. That's like really, really exciting and like different things every day.
There's something new generally every day. Yep.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for talking with us, and thank you for coming to the open house and coming back to your home base. That's pretty neat, I'm sure, to visit.
Thank you.
All right, and this vehicle is pretty darn cool. Okay, I have one last question. There's like a hatch right there.
Yep.
That looks like something that Vin Diesel would jump out in Fast and Furious. So what is that for?
Yeah, so that's a turret. So when we would use that, we would have a guy, say we were serving an arrest warrant, and we pull up into the driveway. All the guys are in the back. We'd pop that turret and have a guy up there just with a rifle. He's kind of shielded by the hatch of that, just so he can, he's up higher and has some elevation and another set of eyes to kind of protect the guys as they move up to the door.
Okay. So like a higher vantage point, and then he has, he can watch over everybody. Yep. That's really cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for talking with us, and we appreciate you so much for what you do.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Let's head back in. Are we going to go play with a police car now?
I think so.
I think so. Are we going to play with a police car? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Lieutenant Morgan says so. I'm super excited. He doesn't know what he's gotten himself into letting me do that. All right. Well, that was really fun learning about SWAT. Are you going to do that next?
No, absolutely not. I mean, they have cool equipment, but yeah, I'm not that cool. So.
Well, I think there's some pretty cool equipment in here. And again, we're here with our friend Tawana Hutton, and Trooper Hutton here has been so gracious as to let James and I crash one of these vehicles. And this is actually a new test vehicle, so some of the things are a little bit different. So bear with us as we're trying to figure out how to push all the buttons. We'll figure it out together.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So I just got in this car this morning for the first time. It's similar to what I have, but not exactly. So I had to have the radio guy kind of show me some of the new features.
But that's really cool because you have to stick up, you know how you have to keep up with technology.
Yes. So, and
the air works.
The air does work. But yeah, so I think their goal is just to minimize this section here of just so many things that we have to touch. So it just keeps getting smaller and smaller. So I think when I first started, it started here and went like all the way back here. And it just keeps getting smaller over the years. So.
Now listen, we're not supposed to be out distracted driving, and you guys have all these buttons in here to push. What the heck?
It becomes second nature. Like seriously, sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it. So.
Well, very good. Well, let's start with this car because I am sitting here and this ginormous computer screen thingy is right here, and it's not turned on because, you know, I'm not a fugitive from the law and you're not looking me up, I think. So
right.
What do you use this computer for?
So this computer, eventually at some point we are going to be able to take this off. This is actually a tablet connected to the pad here, but we'll be able to take it off, take pictures at crash scenes and different things like that. But so the main thing that we use it for is traffic stop. So when we're getting ready to go to stop with the car, we'll just hit a button that says traffic stop. It lets dispatch know that it puts in our GPS where we are, and then we give them the license plate number, and then they'll connect all of that to the traffic stop, and then they'll what am I trying to say? But yeah, so all of that information will be in there.
Yeah.
And then we can run it ourselves as well once we get the car stopped. So I typically don't put any information in here while I'm driving. I normally do that when I'm stopped, if I want to put a license plate number. So say I stop a car and the owner is not with the car.
Okay.
And so I'm going to run somebody else's information. I'll run that, and then all of their information comes back, and then I can read through it. Do they have valid driver's license? Do they have any warrants, anything like that? So, but it all comes back right there on the screen, and their picture comes back as well. We didn't used to have that a long time ago, but in the last few years that became something else that we have.
So then somebody can't say there's somebody else.
Exactly.
Okay, so you pull Jen over, you put in my license plate number, and all the Jen bad stuff comes up.
Yes, they won't be any bad stuff. But yes, so it would all come back on there. So and it'll tell. So whatever the BMV puts into your driving record is what we're going to see.
Okay.
So
I gotcha.
if you've been convicted of something, not whatever, it's all going to be in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very cool.
And also, so if we get a dispatch to a call, a crash, whatever, that just comes across the screen.
Okay.
We'll put ourselves en route to it. We can get GPS directions. It'll tell us how to get there if it's someplace we're not familiar with. All of that on there. But it does all kinds of things.
Okay. So it's just a huge tool that you use every day.
Every day. Yep. So that's the one we use the most.
Okay. So then you have the radio. What do you use the radio for?
So radio is just talking back and forth between dispatch or other troopers. So that's a pretty simple one.
Are you ever like, hey, what are we having for, like lunch?
No. So there are certain things you can.
Well, it's hot out here today.
So certain things you can and cannot say on the radio.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
We can't ask that. Normally we just meet up with each other or we discuss that before work. But
I'm just kidding you. Okay, so then there's a lot of other buttons down this direction, and so police cars have sirens, and they have obviously the speed detector, which we'll get to in a minute. But what are some of the things that this thing does?
So, like we said, this is a test car. So I was talking to our radio technician, and he said that the state is currently testing 3 different light bar systems.
Okay.
This is one of them. I guess the Chillicothe Post, they have a day shift unit and a night shift unit that are taking turns. One has it for 1 week, and then a night shift unit has it another week. So just testing them to see what they think works best, what the lighting conditions are like. But so like I was saying, I had him kind of go through it with me. It was a little bit confusing because this one is not like mine, other than this right here. So just turns on the lights.
Like, is that the light bar?
Light bar. So when you're getting pulled over.
Oh no, that's not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun for you, not for.
So it does some different things, and then this one they added a few years ago. So like an arrow button. So if we have a lane stopped or something, and we're telling people to go to the left or right,
I see.
That's basically what
smart.
that arrow bar is for. And then sirens and stuff, and the radio technician was telling me, and I don't remember exactly how it works, but one of the new features on this is, I think the hands-free. He said, so if it's in that mode and you have your lights running, you just push the horn and the siren comes on.
Can we do it?
And
let's try it. He's not here. He won't care.
Lieutenant, he doesn't hear me. So
can we honk the horn?
The siren.
Okay, he said yes.
Okay. So I think I'm doing this correctly. Or maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Let's see. Let's just do it this way.
We're figuring it out.
It has to be a neutral. Okay, gotcha. See? I'm learning. I don't know.
That's okay.
And then I can't even reach the
I was going to say, some tall person's been driving this.
Car. Let me scoot up there. Okay. So let's give it a try.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
It's going to be loud.
Okay, good. Nice!
So it's not
That's so fun.
I don't know how to make it stay on, but then you put it to...
Push the siren?
This actual siren button?
Yeah, push that.
Let's see.
Where's the siren button?
There's... There we go. Okay.
How fun! Woohoo!
Okay.
So we did that.
There we go.
So tell us the difference. What's the difference between?
I tried that. I couldn't get it to work. Okay, I didn't do it right.
You're good. No, you're good. We made noises, and that's the whole point. So what do you use the different, like one that
Different
like
sounds.
is honk versus
So-
like the woo woo woo?
Honestly, so really the monotonous sound of one or the other, just to change up the sound. So,
Okay.
And sometimes I think people are used to one noise or another, so I just get tired of hearing one sound. So then you just want to switch. And then if I'm going through an intersection, if I'm going to a call, I will slow way down and then air horn through it. And
Yes,
I'm looking
smart.
at everybody to make sure that they see that I'm coming through if it's a red light or something like that.
Because some people are just, again, distracted and in la la land.
Oh yes, always.
Yeah, very much
Yep.
so.
So, and then this is the radar.
Yes. So how
this
does
is
that
how
work?
we check people when they are speeding. It is not on currently, but
Jen, get out
So,
and run
I was
past
gonna
it.
say, James, run by there and see what happens.
yeah. So I noticed that the back unit, I guess it's plugged in. It's just in a weird spot. So normally they're mounted to the light bar, or some people have them up in the dash. But this is the actual thing that is reading the speed. So the Doppler, and it's shooting out a frequency, and then it's coming back to this machine.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times people ask when I pull them over, you checked me going the opposite direction, driving at each other.
Sure.
That's how it works. So yeah, so basically whatever car is pushing the most energy at you is going to be the one that this machine's picking up.
So that was going to be my question. How do you know what car you're actually
Yes.
looking at?
So one of the things though, so this machine, we don't use it until we already visually estimate the speed. So that's something we learn in the academy, and we train on it all the time.
I see.
So we look at the car. After doing it for a while, you just learn how fast vehicles are going. You turn the machine on to confirm that speed.
Okay.
So when you have to be like plus or minus a couple miles within that range to know. But
Okay.
after doing it for years, you
just know.
You just know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so this machine can check stationary. So if I'm sitting in a crossover, cars coming at me, can check it that way. There's a moving mode, so cars passing each other. And then you can also pace a car. So get behind them and then turn the machine to a pace mode that's on here. And then as long as your speed is staying steady on the screen, you'll know that that's the speed that you're going and that they are going.
Okay.
So we don't use that too often.
Yeah, because when you're behind them, they're going to figure out that they
Yes.
probably need to slow down by then.
So, but usually, but there are people that still will speed, even though they'll
they're
be
not
just
paying
looking in
attention.
the mirror at you like, why are you behind me like this? So, but
I had to put my lipstick on.
yeah, yeah. So, but that is the other thing, and then
That is awesome.
Yep. So, and then this car, most cars have a cage. So
Yes.
if you have a prisoner,
Yeah.
they would be back behind the cage.
Sure.
Because this is a test car, it doesn't have that. So you would put the prisoner here.
Okay.
And then they're equipped for, the cars have the shotgun in the front, which this one doesn't have it. And then in the back of this vehicle would be a rifle. So, and then other equipment back there, we have, cones, tape measures, anything that you would need at different types of scenes, crash scenes, crime scenes, all of that stuff.
Awesome.
So the trunks are usually completely full of gear.
Stuff.
Yes. Again, this one not so much because it's a new car, but
Yeah.
they usually do.
Well,
So-
very good. Well, thank you for taking a tour
yes.
of the car. I mean, I've never, thank God, ever been in one of these before, nor do I ever want to be in one ever again.
It's okay. It's not always bad because a lot of times, so you may just have to sit in the car to help, like, with a crash
Sure.
report or something.
Yeah,
So
you as a
people-
witness or
yes,
something.
People say that all the time. I've never sat in a car. I'm like, you're not in trouble. This is my office. I need you to sit here so I can ask you some questions. So.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much. And this is Tawana Hutton once again, and we appreciate you taking time. You've had to deal with me twice this week. This has been so much fun.
It's fine, though. You're good. It's all good.
All right. Well, James, let's see what else we can get ourselves into. All right. Well, we just had so much fun out in the police car. I got to push all the buttons and stuff. It was really fun. But we are here now with Trooper McIntyre, and you are actually helping out with some recruiting for the State Highway Patrol. Yes. So thank you for that, and thanks for being on our program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, I guess? Are you from around the area?
No, I'm not. I'm actually a Southwest recruiter, and I'm based out of Columbus, but I live in Cincinnati.
Okay, well, that makes total sense. And so let's talk for a minute about the Highway Patrol, because I can remember growing up, and I had some friends, some guy friends especially, that, when I was in school a few years ago, that's what we say, a few years ago, because, no, it was really hard to get. You couldn't get into the patrol academy unless you knew somebody. I mean, it was really tough. And so now, but you guys are actually looking for some recruits right now. And so the tables have turned a little bit, and that's not due to anything other than that's just how it is right now. So let's talk about the patrol academy, recruitment, all that.
Okay. Yeah, so right now, of course, we are hiring. We are looking for people that are from 20 to 34 years of age, have a high school diploma, GED, being a United States citizen, and having a valid license, no more than 5 points. We do have paid training, which is $18.66 an hour, plus full benefits. So that's an incentive to people. And just like anybody else, we're hurting just like anyone, other law enforcement agencies and even businesses and whatnot.
Absolutely. And so if you are thinking about, maybe you just graduated high school, maybe, you're in college and you're thinking, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is not for me. How about law enforcement? I could be a highway patrolman. I could get paid to get trained. I mean, how often does that happen?
Exactly. And that's what I try to tell people. I mean, it's a wonderful position. It puts you in places you never thought you would be. And nothing is never the same when you're out on the road, working the road. And there's so many other areas that the patrol that you can go into other than just being an officer out on the roadway.
We tried to showcase a little bit of that today with SWAT and our dog handler and, things like that. But let's talk about some of the, we're inside the post right now, and there are people that work inside this post that are not patrolmen or women that aren't out on the road. So could you talk about some of the jobs that maybe somebody could get into if they just, or maybe they're not physically capable of going through the academy or something, but they still want to be involved?
Right. Well, we have dispatchers, secretaries. But again, what of course I'm looking for are people that do want to become state troopers, and they have to recruit for their areas.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is we also are run just like a business. So we have operations, we have logistics, finance. So as I said before, there are other areas that you can go into. But yes, at the main post, we have secretaries, and there's also dispatchers, depending on where you are.
All right. And so within then the troopers, like they were telling me, and you just touched on it, but like, computer people and all this wild stuff that you would have never thought of. That's so neat.
Yes, we are in-house. We do everything. And that's one thing I'm grateful for working with this organization is that we pretty much do it all. And that's what we have to offer that other local PDs and whatnot don't. Because there's so much that you can do and get involved in and bring out your talents that you never thought that you could use.
It's like show your stuff, right? Like sometimes you draw it out that you didn't even know you had within yourself.
Yes, and we try to get that also while they're in the academy. Our academy is 24 to 26 weeks long, and the first thing that people have to do, of course, is fill out an application. They take a written exam, do the physical, then they'll have polygraph, background, drug screen, psychological, and then another physical test that they'll have to take before they come into the patrol. But that's what we want to get out of our people the best, because they don't know what they're going to be dealing with too. So some things are rough, but it's to get the best out of you. And I think that goes throughout your career.
And I kind of think of that. I had some friends that went into the military that, shall we say, had they not, I think their lives would have been questionable, their futures. And the military, turn them into the person that you can see deep down that they are. And I feel like it's that way with the patrol as well.
Yes, it is. And we have now started a mentor program. So somebody that can kind of stay with you if you have questions or concerns. I know it wasn't around when I first came on. Probably it's very helpful to have a mentor. I don't care what it is that you really want to go into. Just having somebody that's been there, done that, and it can help you along the way to get to where you need to be or want to be.
Absolutely. And then they were telling me, Lieutenant Morgan was telling me when he was on the show the other day that they have like a ride-along program too, where people could come out. Maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe, I don't know if this is right for me or not, but you could actually ride around with a trooper.
Yes, you can. It didn't used to be like that, especially during the pandemic. We had shut that down, but now it's open and it's better than it was before. So basically, if you want to do a ride-along, get in touch with the local post where you are and ask or tell them that you would like, or you're interested in doing a ride-along, and then you'll have an interview with that post commander, and then if he or she feels that you're a perfect fit, he'll give you the paperwork, he or she will give you the paperwork and move on to the next step of driving with a patrol officer.
Now that would be, it doesn't get any better than that of figuring out whether you want to, if you're right for the job or not.
Right, correct. And exactly. And that's right, hands-on. And we also do that, of course, once you get into the academy, you have those times to come out and ride along as well with the officer too, to just get a feel what it's going to be like.
Well, very good. And what would you say to someone as a patrolman, or what do you say? Do you say patrol woman? I love that. Right? Go, girl. I knew I liked you for a reason. So what would you say to somebody that's out there watching this today and maybe questioning, I don't know, maybe not. What would you say? What does the patrol mean to you?
It is a calling. It's not for everybody. Everybody has a place and purpose in this world. And so sometimes they feel they might get in and feel like it's not a perfect fit, but at least they realize it at that time. But I will tell you, in this type of position, it puts you in places in front of people you never thought you would be, like presidents, celebrities, or what have you. Right. Yes. So, and you never know what's down the line, those connections that you make. So as I said, every day is not the same day. You're out there stopping people. You never know who you're going to stop. So it's a wonderful thing.
You never know. You might meet your favorite celebrity.
Yes. Or even a husband or wife. I don't know. You just don't know.
You don't. I think that's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. And it means so much to us. And again, Patrol, we're going to say woman, McIntyre. Thank you, and welcome to our area. We're so glad that you stopped by today, and safe travels back.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks again.
All right. Well, what a fun visit to the Jackson Post of the Highway Patrol. Thank you so much for having us out today.
It was so fun. We put some guys on the spot, and they got to talk and made them a little uncomfortable talking about themselves. But they're doing great. These guys need recognized for what they do because they're all doing phenomenal jobs, and they just do it. Like, they don't want anything extra. They just want to go do their jobs, and having you guys out here recognize what they do is so great. It's so awesome.
Well, I think it's very important, and we have enjoyed ourselves so much, and getting to see like what the daily life of a patrolman is like is just something that you don't think about. So coming out here, getting to see the different facets of what all you get to do, that was amazing, and this is a perfect opportunity with the open house. So thank you.
Thank you so much. There were several candidates that came through that were interested, that we got them enrolled in the application process, and that was kind of one of the goals, you know, to see what we do and maybe have a young person come in and find a job, a career in the Highway Patrol. So we accomplished our goals today.
That's right. And again, recruits are still welcome. And please, if you're thinking about a career in law enforcement or the Highway Patrol, stop on out by the patrol post anytime and see Lieutenant Morgan or one of the gang, and you guys will put them in the right direction.
Absolutely. We're all here.
See? You never get to leave, do you?
No, I don't. I was here late yesterday too, so yeah, it's fun. But this is what we do, you know. The family gets it. You know, when I get home, I'm home, and when I'm not, they know where I am. So I can't hide anywhere. So, but yeah, we love it.
We'll find you.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate the tour and everybody giving up their time today to talk to us. So, thank you, and we will head back to the studio.